Hello everyone. In this module, I will be talking about effective virtual communication. I've listed some recommended readings, including the do's and don'ts of video conferencing, how video changes the conversation, and connecting through technology during the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic, avoiding Zoom fatigue. I'll start with a bit of background. The effects of coronavirus, or COVID-19, are tremendous on our society. Businesses and schools are shutting down and transitioning to remote working and learning. Our average screen time has spiked to over 13 hours per day, and most meetings are now held virtually, conducted through services like Zoom, WebEx, and Google Meet. In essence, our communication has evolved. It's no longer face-to-face or in real life. A lot of it is virtual, and hence the importance of effective virtual communication. Such effective communication starts even before the beginning of a meeting, in the preparation. When scheduling meetings, consider that research shows that video conferences that are too long induce Zoom fatigue, and recommend keeping virtual meetings, lectures, and webinars to within 1 hour. Always ensure that all participants are informed of the meeting so that they can arrive on time to avoid delays in starting the meeting and therefore prolonging the duration. Providing a direct link instead of codes and passwords can ease the joining process, especially for people who may not be familiar with online meetings. Provide technical guidance so that everyone knows how they can join. You should also create a plan for contingencies, whether it be an alternate meeting time or software in case something goes wrong or someone critical is unable to make it at the last minute. Consider setting up for your meeting 10 to 15 minutes in advance to account for any technical difficulties or other obstacles. Start by finding a quiet space to minimize distractions around you. Ensure that your face is evenly and well lit, and don't sit in front of a bright window or your face will be dark due to the backlight. Make sure that you're in an area with a good wireless signal or connected to Ethernet, and make sure that the device you're using to join the meeting has enough charge or is connected to power. You should test your audio output to ensure that you can hear others, as well as your audio input so that your microphone is not too quiet or too loud, and your video if you plan on speaking or presenting. Close or minimize anything distracting on your screen so you can focus on the meeting, as well as in case you need to share your screen. Mute your phone and computer so that you don't have any notifications pinging halfway through the meeting. Try to look good. Present a good image of yourself. Follow any dress codes set by your school or company, and ensure that you look appropriate. Wearing clothes with crazy patterns and stripes on them can be disorienting, so try to avoid those. Keep a professional look and posture. If it helps, use a virtual background to minimize any distractions in your actual background. However, avoid using one if it shimmers or otherwise fails to work properly, as that itself can be distracting. One key thing that people don't realize is webcam placement. If your webcam is too low, you can seem very dominating and threatening. Aim to place your webcam at eye level if possible, like the picture in the middle, to mimic the natural level of eye contact when you are face-to-face with someone else. If that's not possible, go with a higher, downward tilted position to make yourself seem less threatening, like the one on the right. If you're organizing a meeting, here are some tips. If you plan on recording, let participants know beforehand to ensure that their privacy is respected and that they can prepare for it. Also, check that you have enough local or cloud storage so that your recording does not get cut halfway through. Join the meeting slightly earlier than the scheduled time so that you can let people in if you have a waiting room, or just be there so participants are not showing up wondering if they're in the right place. Check if everyone can hear you or hear each other before you start as well. This is important to minimize distractions with people asking, "Can you hear me?" Finally, ensure that you set the proper permissions for attendees. If the event is a webinar, you may want to consider disabling chat or enabling Q&A. Perhaps the most important part of an online meeting is the beginning. When starting a meeting as an organizer or host, you'll want to be aware of those joining and the technical issues that they may be having, as well as moderating any inappropriate users. If the meeting is very large, consider getting a trusted moderator for the text chat and questions. Consider putting on some light music or a title page or slide to make the event seem a bit more professional. Greet the people coming in. If there's just one or two, greet them personally, as when you meet them in person. If there are many people, consider greeting everyone as a whole, as if you're on stage, to save time and prevent awkwardness of people waiting for you to greet 500 people individually. Check one last time that people can hear you, as well as see your screen if you are sharing any content. You don't need to wait until absolutely everyone has arrived. As soon as people join, start with introductions and greetings. And when the key people have joined, and you are waiting for the last few stragglers, just start without them. They will be more punctual next time, and they can always catch up after the meeting. When you start the meeting, hold off on recording until people arrive, so that you can give a verbal notice that you are starting to record, just to give people their privacy. Wait a few seconds to allow for slow connections and to give people time to react before actually starting to record. Once you click record, double check to make sure that you are indeed recording, so that you don't lose any content. Consider getting everyone to keep their video off and their mics muted if there are many people in the meeting, just so disruptions can be minimized and to make it easier to focus on the actual speakers. To minimize interruptions, also consider asking attendees to signal something when they want to speak, such as using the raise hand feature offered by the meeting software, or getting people to ask questions in the text chat. Encourage attendees to keep the chat clean when appropriate. Have people minimize side conversation and inappropriate language in the chat. If someone joins with excessive background noise, consider asking them to mute their mic when not speaking, or muting them if they are not responsive. Start off with an agenda to keep everyone on the same page by giving a high-level overview as to what you will be doing. When joining a meeting as a participant, be mindful of your role and situation. If you're not the organizer or a special guest, don't greet everyone and take control of the meeting. When you enter the meeting room, take a listen. If you can hear background noise, everyone else can too, so mute yourself. Check if it's necessary to turn your video on. It may be distracting for other participants if only you and the speaker have your video on. Be mindful of any rules or instructions set out by the organizer or host. Find out where you can ask questions and how the organizer wants you to speak discreetly. Check if there are any virtual background requirements and follow them. You don't want to be the only person standing out. If the organizer is recording, be mindful of how you look. You could be going on the front page of an organization's website. Throughout the entire meeting, it is important to maintain effective virtual communication. For verbal communication, you should wait your turn to speak. Research shows that people interrupt each other much more often in online meetings than in person, since body language and microexpressions are missing, and sometimes even the person speaking isn't visible. To minimize the chance of interrupting others, wait for a second or two after the current speaker finishes, so that you can be sure that they are actually finished, rather than just taking a short break for air or water. This will also prevent any delays in audio. Speak clearly. Even with modern technology, the quality of computer audio is nowhere close to real life, so speaking clearly and enunciating is ever more important. Speed is an important part of clarity, as speaking too fast can result in not being understood. Make sure you speak into your microphone, but avoid swallowing it, so that your volume is not too loud and you are not shouting. If you need to reference things or share your screen, communicate it clearly and ensure that you share the right window and that anything private is hidden. When you share your screen, avoid long pauses of complete silence, as others may think there's a connection issue, and make sure that everyone can see your screen. Keep what you are saying on topic, and avoid going down a tangent for half the meeting. Additionally, engage others to ensure that they are following along. This can be something as simple as, "Is everyone okay with this?" When someone else is speaking, pay attention to what they are saying, and be aware of any content they may be sharing. Limit any vocal acknowledgements that you may be used to from everyday conversations that are in person. Saying "okay" or may actually cut the speaker off, since people can really only hear one person at a time, an issue which may be exacerbated by connection delays. Try instead to use nonverbal cues to communicate your attentiveness, such as nodding and facial expression. When you're making eye contact, look at the webcam, not your screen. Looking at the speaker on screen may seem to you like you are focused, but others will see your eyes lowered as if you were asleep or deep in thought. Virtual communication is in many ways very similar to physical. You should still employ hand gestures and facial expressions to engage your audience. Active listening is still vital, since you will get both verbal and nonverbal cues and feedback from others in the meeting. Treat others with the same respect and avoid ignoring people as you would in real life. Also avoid cutting off people in mid-sentence. It can help to have your own video as picture-in-picture on your screen so that you can see what others are seeing of you to adjust your own appearance during the meeting, and as an additional reminder that people can see you. Finally, stay focused. No matter how good you are at multitasking, don't write an email, ask your child how their day went, or call Tim Hortons to complain that the coffee you got was cold during a meeting. This will detract your attention and could prolong the meeting. Finally, avoid eating, as it can be disrespectful, especially if you talk with your mouth full and food drops onto your keyboard, or if someone tells a joke and milk shoots out your nose. All in all, enjoy yourself. Be comfortable with being who you are and get comfortable meeting others online, since the coronavirus pandemic may not end for quite some time. I've included some multimedia clips for more information. These 3 YouTube videos should provide additional viewpoints on effective virtual communication. Thank you.